everyone, welcome back to Hands-Free Studying for the MBE, brought to you by Brainscape. These upcoming constitutional law questions cover equal protection. Okay, let's get started. Question 1. What is the Equal Protection Clause? The Equal Protection Clause holds that no state shall make or enforce any law that denies its citizens equal protection of the law. In other words, similarly situated persons should be treated similarly under the law. And this is found in the 14th Amendment. Question 2. Does the Equal Protection Clause apply to the federal government? Yes, indirectly via incorporation of the Fifth Amendment Due Process Clause. Question 3. How do you distinguish due process from equal protection issues? Ask yourself, does the statute contain a classification along suspect lines? If yes, it is an equal protection issue. If not, it's more likely a due process issue. Question 4. What are 4 steps to analyzing equal protection questions? First ask, is there a classification by the government? Remember that the plaintiff must prove the classification was made with discriminatory intent. Second, ask yourself, what is the classification? Is it a suspect, quasi, or other type of classification? Third, ask what level of scrutiny applies. If it's a suspect class, strict scrutiny applies. If it's quasi, intermediate scrutiny applies. And if it's another classification, apply rational basis. And lastly, ask yourself, does the government action satisfy the appropriate level of scrutiny? Question 5. What are the suspect classifications? There are 4: race, alienage, religion, and national origin. Remember that these are always subject to strict scrutiny. Suspect classifications will almost always be fatal for this reason. Question 6. What are the quasi-suspect classifications? Gender and legitimacy. Remember that for these you apply intermediate scrutiny. Question 7. What are non-suspect classifications? Alienage can be a non-suspect classification if it's either a federal alienage classification or a state restriction on an alien's participation in government functions. The other ones are age, wealth, sexual orientation, disability, and any other classification that's not governed by strict or intermediate scrutiny. And remember that these fall under rational basis review. These will almost always survive an equal protection challenge unless they're motivated by an animus towards the particular group. Question 8. What are 3 ways that a plaintiff can show that a classification is discriminatory? The plaintiff can either show that the classification is discriminatory on its face, meaning that the text of the law itself is unconstitutional. They also can show that the classification is facially neutral, but discriminatory as applied, meaning that it's discriminatory in its application. This requires proof of both discriminatory intent and discriminatory effect. And lastly, the plaintiff can show that there is a discriminatory purpose or motive. The plaintiff must show proof of a discriminatory purpose. Question 9. What is de jure segregation? This is an intentional segregation imposed by law. This is subject to strict scrutiny. Question 10. What is de facto segregation? This is segregation that results from private action. No equal protection violation exists here because there's no government action. And that's the end of your 10 flashcard study round. To reach full mastery, remember to study in Brainscape. Our mobile and web app uses the latest in spaced repetition techniques, allowing you to optimize your study time and track your progress down to the finest detail. But of course, when you're driving, cooking, exercising, or otherwise unable to navigate the app, be sure to keep listening to the rest of this hands-free studying playlist. No matter what subject you're learning and what method you're studying it, Brainscape helps you rise to your challenge.